Picture two teenagers at the same party, same music, same friends, same golden light pouring through the window. One of them spends the whole night holding their phone like a mirror, angle, smile, post, refresh. The other takes a single photo, looks at it, smiles to themselves, and slips the phone back into their pocket. Same night. Two completely different brains at work. And the quiet one, the one who didn't post, might already understand something about themselves that takes most adults decades to figure out. In this video, I'll walk you through 5 reasons why some teens choose not to post their photos online, and what it quietly reveals about how their minds actually work. Now, I know what you might be thinking. They're just shy, or they have low self-esteem. But here's what developmental psychologists keep finding. Often, it's the exact opposite. Choosing not to post isn't always about hiding. Sometimes it's a sign of something far stronger happening underneath. Stay with me, because by the end, you'll never look at the quiet teen in your life the same way again. Think of social media like a storefront window. Every photo you post is a mannequin in that window, arranged carefully for the people walking by. Some teens love decorating that window. They rearrange it daily. But others? They treat their life less like a storefront and more like a vault. And when everything goes in the window, something subtle happens. The moment stops being yours. It starts belonging to the audience. You begin living the experience for the people who'll see it later. Not for yourself. Right now, while it's actually happening. Here's the truth. A teen who keeps moments in the vault isn't missing out. They're protecting the value of the experience by refusing to spend it all on applause. Psychologists call this internal validation, finding your worth from the inside instead of from the scoreboard of likes. And it turns out to be one of the strongest predictors of long-term emotional stability there is. Now imagine carrying a tiny, invisible crowd around with you everywhere you go. Not a metaphor. A real constant presence that sits just behind your eyes. You wake up, and before your feet even touch the floor, the crowd is already there with the first question of the day. Is this worth showing? You pour your cereal, and the crowd tilts its head. Would this look better in the light by the window? You meet your friends, and you're not just laughing at the joke anymore. Part of you is quietly wondering how that laugh would photograph. You go on holiday. You stand in front of something genuinely beautiful, and instead of breathing it in, you feel a small, nagging pressure. Capture it, frame it, caption it, before the moment slips away unshared. The birthday dinner gets experienced through a screen held at arm's length because the crowd needs proof it happened. The new haircut you actually love doesn't feel quite real until the crowd has seen it and nodded back. And here's the exhausting part. The crowd is never satisfied. One post buys you maybe an hour of quiet before it starts whispering again. For a lot of teens, that voice never fully switches off. It follows them into the bathroom mirror, into the school hallway, into the moments that used to just be theirs. A low hum of performance running underneath an entire childhood. Psychologists actually have a name for this. They call it the imaginary audience, the constant feeling that everyone is watching you. And the more a teen posts, the louder that crowd gets, until their sense of self starts to depend on its reactions. Here's the shift. The teen who doesn't post is quietly turning the volume down on that crowd. They're practicing something rare, existing without a live audience. And that's not antisocial. That's the very beginning of a stable identity, a self that doesn't need a witness in order to feel real. Quick pause before we keep going, because so far we've covered the 2 reasons most people could probably guess at. The next one is different. It's the reason even thoughtful, attentive parents tend to misread completely. So if you've been nodding along until now, watch closely here, because this is where it gets surprising. Picture a stage where the spotlight never switches off. Every move is a performance. The curtain never falls. There's no backstage to slip away to. That's what an always-on feed can quietly turn into. Because when you perform your life non-stop, you almost never get to just live it. You start editing yourself in real time, smoothing the rough edges before anyone even sees them. And slowly, the performance becomes more familiar than the person giving it. Here's the truth. A teen who steps off that stage isn't disappearing. They're choosing to be a person instead of a performance. Researchers link this kind of stepping back to lower anxiety and a clearer sense of self. Walking out of the spotlight even sometimes gives the nervous system somewhere to finally rest. Here's something almost everyone misses. The teen who doesn't post isn't refusing to share. Watch them closely and you'll often see they share constantly, just not with everyone. Think of the difference between a floodlight and a campfire. A floodlight throws light across an entire parking lot. Bright, wide, impressive, and warming absolutely no one. A campfire lights up only the few faces gathered around it. But those faces actually feel the heat. When a teen broadcasts to a floodlight crowd of 500 followers, the connection spreads thin. A like is not a hug. A view is not a conversation. The wider the reach, the cooler each individual bond tends to get. Here's the shift. The teen who doesn't post is often just choosing the campfire. They'd rather send one photo to one close friend who'll really see it than broadcast it to a crowd of acquaintances who'll scroll right past. And psychologists keep finding the same thing. This kind of deep, narrow connection, a few strong friendships instead of hundreds of shallow ones, is one of the clearest predictors of happiness there is, not just during the teenage years, across an entire lifetime. Last one. Think about a tree. The parts you actually see, the branches, the leaves, the blossom, those are the showy bits. But underneath, the roots grow first, silently, where nobody's watching. And that's where all the real strength lives. A teen who broadcasts everything is growing a lot of branches, very fast, but sometimes with shallow roots. The image grows quicker than the self underneath it can keep up with. Here's the shift. The quiet teen is growing roots first. Their identity is forming in private, where no audience gets to shape it for them. This is what psychologists call identity development. And the teens who protect that private underground space often grow the deepest, steadiest, most unshakable sense of who they really are. So here's what it all comes down to. Not posting isn't always about fear. Sometimes it's about ownership. A quiet decision to keep your life yours. The teen who doesn't share every photo isn't hiding from the world. They're learning early that they don't need the world's permission to feel like enough. And that's a kind of quiet confidence most of us spend an entire lifetime trying to find.